In one day in September in 1940, the Battle of Britain reached its decisive moment. Throughout the summer months, Britain's fighter command had fought a desperate battle against the Luftwaffe. As far as the planes were concerned, we've never seen anything like it. It was just awesome. There were masses of them. They'd only got to come across the water, and they were here. Everybody was in the front line. Civilians were in the front line. Beneath the battle-ridden skies, people from all walks of life became involved in the defense of Britain. Age, situation, or circumstance was no barrier. This country was welded together with one aim: to defeat the aggressor. Each day they faced the grim realities, one moment standing on your own, the next, a man's on the floor. Then I saw this huge formation of Spitfires and Hurricanes making their way directly toward the formation of the Boche. One day of dramatic aerial combat would now decide the fate of the nation. The role of the Luftwaffe was to destroy fighter command, to gain air superiority to enable the invasion to take place. This is the story of that day, the 15th of September, 1940, 13 hours that saved Britain. Hitler's Nazi Germany dominates Europe. His armed forces have swept across the continent, crushing all opposition. Hermann Goering, head of the Luftwaffe, believes that attacks by the German Air Force alone can bring Britain to its knees. He has promised the Führer that the Royal Air Force will be swept from the skies. 6:34 a.m. Sunday dawns for a country that has lived in fear of invasion for more than 3 months. We had the Germans knocking at the door. If they had been overwhelmed, they would have been in London within a week. The air defense of Great Britain was divided into 4 fighter groups, with 11 group covering London and the southeast. This was all down to the foresight of Sir Hugh Dowding, who reorganized the air defense into the group system. 8:02 a.m. A lone German Heinkel bomber on a weather reconnaissance flight flies westward along the English Channel. We had radar, which gave us eyes into the continent. We could see the build-up and the aircraft coming toward the UK. This information would go from radar stations to headquarters fighter command, then pass direct to the groups. The sector controller scrambles to Hurricanes from Exeter to intercept the intruder. None of its crew survives. For the people of southeast England, it's a Sunday morning like many others, but it will not be a day of rest. 9 a.m. While London stirs into life, in occupied France, Luftwaffe air crews prepare for a major attack. German pilots are claiming they've shot down 20 Hurricanes. In reality, the Royal Air Force was far from defeated. 10:30 a.m. Air Vice Marshal Keith Park receives news that Prime Minister Winston Churchill has chosen to visit. Churchill watched as markers appeared on the table, indicating a buildup of over 250 German aircraft. 11:05 a.m. Two squadrons of Spitfires climb fast, setting course for Canterbury to meet the incoming threat. The Luftwaffe formations will toward London. Their target, the heart of the British Empire. 11:36 a.m. Luftwaffe formations cross the coast. The only opposition they meet is anti-aircraft fire from the ground. Civilians in Kent have a ringside seat. They weren't dropping bombs yet. They were just flying steadily inland. Precise information is relayed. When you hear the sirens, you must get under cover at once. Do not stand staring. Patrolling Spitfires have spotted the enemy and dive into attack. The aerial battle now runs through the fields of Kent. You could hear the roar of the engines and the stutter of the guns. Paper trails were all over the sky. Drawing nearer to London, the beleaguered German formations reached Chislehurst, met by even more Spitfires. 12:07 p.m. Hard-pressed, the German bomber formations arrive over the capital. The throbbing of aircraft was eerie. 12:08 p.m. Park has 6 fighter squadrons over the capital itself. More than 125 RAF fighters fall upon the Luftwaffe. The Hurricanes were attacking the bombers, and the Spitfires were attacking the Messerschmitts. The sky was a tangled mass of whirling aircraft. 1 minute there's a dogfight, the next, nobody to be seen. A lot of the bombers, once they got to London, quickly turned around and got rid of their bombs. 12:11 p.m. The German formations turned away from London and head back toward the English Channel. 12:55 p.m. The all-clear sounds. Some discover more than just their grief and destruction. 1 p.m. In the operations room of 11 Group, the plotting map is clear. But more hard fighting lies ahead. The Luftwaffe is gathering its forces for a second, far greater assault. Radar picks up for 100-plus aircraft. 1:45 p.m. A lone Spitfire is ordered high over the channel to relay visual reports to ground controllers. 5 minutes later, more than 450 enemy aircraft begin to cross the English coast. 2:14 p.m. The first clashes take place above Rumney Marsh. 3 Spitfire squadrons throw themselves into a dive. Speed and surprise drives them through the escorting fighters and onto the bombers. 2:30 p.m. London's anti-aircraft batteries open fire. The barrage acts as a beacon for British fighters. The sky is dotted with twisting aircraft and streaks of smoke. Planes spiral down, hitting the ground with a column of smoke. Churchill asks Park, "How many reserves do we have left?" The answer was, none. Everything was committed. 2:45 p.m. The decisive hour has arrived. Bombs begin to fall indiscriminately on the capital. Windows got blown in, roofs blown off, houses were sliced right through, ghost of the house that had gone. 3:15 p.m. As the retreating bombers reach the channel, they are met by fresh German fighters from France. British fighters are forced to abandon the chase. They are low on fuel and ammunition. 5:25 p.m. One last Luftwaffe raid is plotted. A fast-hit and-run force targeting the Spitfire works at Southampton. The Luftwaffe has lost 79 aircraft compared to our AF losses of 29. It represents a stunning victory. 2 days later, Hitler postponed Operation Sea Lion. The invasion could not go ahead. The 15th of September 1940 was the finest hour. Hitler thought he could bring us to our knees, and he failed. Britain itself has been saved. The British people have maintained their freedom and secured their island home.